It was the grand reopening of Toby's old station. Bunting flapped in the breeze and crowds gathered around Toby as Oliver, Harold, and the Fat Controller welcomed visitors. "Thank you for finding my station," said Toby to Oliver. "I've missed it dearly. I thought it to be long gone." "It was really no trouble, Toby," said the Great Western Engine. "I found it quite by accident." And he told Toby the story of his find. "I've made discoveries of my own," Toby said with a grin. "I found an old castle and mine on your branch line." Oliver blinked. "I'm surprised there are so many forgotten places on the island. You'd think that someone would have mapped it out by now." "I suppose that's what explorers like us are for," chuckled Toby. "An explorer!" Oliver exclaimed as Toby trundled away. "I like the sound of that." "Like the sound of what?" said a familiar voice. "Oh, nothing, sir," Oliver said, trying to hide his excitement. "I'm just looking forward to my next adventure." "Don't get ahead of yourself, Oliver," the Fat Controller said with a wink. "Your next adventure will be in the yards." Oliver was disappointed, but one day his chance came. "Come on, Oliver," said his driver. "We're needed at the docks." Brendam Docks was busy, and Oliver was soon hard at work. Presently, Bill and Ben arrived with their trains full of china clay. The twins had never met Oliver before. "Good morning," said Oliver politely. "I don't think we've met." "You must be Oliver, the one who escaped from Scrap, and the one who found the old station." "Why, that's right," said Oliver, swelling with pride. "What are your names?" "Bill and Ben," replied the twins. "You're very brave, Oliver," said Bill cheekily. The twins had a plan. "We could have never gone down that line and found that station. There's no loop line near Redwood Station that we've been meaning to check out for years. But we've never got around to it. We're too scared, Oliver." Oliver was intrigued. "Tell me about it." The twins set their plan in motion. "All we know is that it's very abandoned and spooky. Some engines have gone down there and never returned." Oliver's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yeah," said Bill. "That line must be cursed. Rusty rails, creaky points, fog as thick as steam. But I'm sure it's nothing for someone as brave as you, Oliver," added Ben with a cheeky grin. Oliver hesitated. "Well, I suppose I am an explorer after all. If you want, I could take a look for you." "Would you do that? Oh, that would be just fantastic, Oliver." "Yes, why, of course," said Oliver apprehensively. He didn't want to let down his new friends. "Will you two rascals get out of the way?" said Cranky impatiently. "I've been holding this load here for 15 minutes. The twins scampered away as Edward puffed in with a knowing look. "Don't let them wind you up, Oliver," he said kindly. "That line has been closed for years, and for good reason. Whenever an owl hoots, a mist rolls in, and the track's no good." "But it hasn't been explored in ages," Oliver replied. "Who knows what might be down there?" "Trouble, most likely," Edward warned. "Stick to the main line, for your own good." But Oliver's mind was already made up. That night, he crept out onto the abandoned line. Fog rolled in as he entered the shadows. The track was old and creaky, but Oliver pressed on. "There must be something here. There must be," he whispered. Suddenly, through the fog, something emerged. "A station!" Oliver gasped. "And level crossing gates. Well, isn't this something? There's a whole branch line here." "All right, Oliver," said his driver cautiously. "Let's come back tomorrow when the sun's out." "Well, we've come this far," Oliver insisted. "Just a little farther." Fine," said the driver reluctantly. "But only for another mile. That's all." If Oliver had been paying attention, he would have noticed a point set against him. Just past the crossing, Oliver tumbled off the rails and into the soggy dirt. "Bother!" he cried. "Well, so much for an adventure," said the fireman, dropping the fire. "We'll walk back and call for help." Oliver sat alone in the fog. "What a silly engine I am," he sighed. "Edward was right." Oh, maybe this line really is cursed. The next morning, the Fat Controller received a phone call that Oliver was nowhere to be found. "Not again, Oliver. Right, we'll send out a search party," he declared. Toby was waiting at the platform. "Take me to the airfield, Toby. Oliver's gone missing." "I'm sorry, sir. Harold's been grounded for maintenance." "Bother! Then Henrietta will have to do." So the Fat Controller climbed aboard and Toby set off. They stopped at Edward's station to take on one. Edward was shunting the breakdown train. "Have you seen Oliver?" asked the Fat Controller. "I haven't seen him, but I might know where he is," said Edward. "He took some bad advice from Bill and Ben and went down the old line." "The old line?" pondered the Fat Controller. "It's just off my branch line. Follow me. I'll help you look for him." "Right. Lead the way, Edward, and bring those cranes with you." The engines trundled carefully down the misty line. Soon, there was a clearing in the fog. At an old signal box, the engine saw Oliver's crew. "Thank goodness," they called. "We got lost in the fog and took shelter here. Have you found Oliver?" "Not yet," said Toby, "but up aboard. You can help." Further up the line, Oliver was waiting anxiously. He hadn't gotten a wink of sleep. "Oh, where could they be?" he said nervously. "The sun's been up for hours." Suddenly, Oliver thought he heard the sound of an engine. "Help! I'm over here!" For a tense moment, there was only silence. Then, Edward emerged from the mist with Toby following suit. Oliver had finally been found. Everyone was relieved. Soon, the mist cleared, and Oliver was back on the rails. "I thought we agreed that your next adventure wouldn't be so grand," said the Fat Controller. "I'm sorry, sir," said Oliver sheepishly. "I got too big for my buffers. I'd be glad to return to shunting." "It's best we leave expeditions like this to the professionals," said the Fat Controller. Toby chuckled. "All the same," the Fat Controller went on, "this is a marvelous discovery." "Yes, indeed," added Toby. "Even if I don't approve of your methods, Oliver, the results are impressive." "I'll be sure not to mention this to Bill and Ben, Oliver," said Edward kindly. "You wouldn't hear the end of it. All the same, it's best if you keep any warnings in mind from now on." "Don't worry, Edward," Oliver smiled. "I've learned my lesson. I'd much rather stick to my adventures on my branch line." Oliver returned to the Little Western. He was grateful to see Toad and his other friends again. Meanwhile, the Fat Controller began working on restoring the old branch line. It was a moonlit night, and Henry was working with Edward. The big green engine was taking a goods train to the station by the lake. But that's another story.